Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, October 13th, 2024, and this is the Weekend Roundup.
Just bleed, just bleed radio. Just bleed radio.
Let's fucking go, guys. Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup. This is episode 25 of the greatest hour-long mixed martial arts review show on YouTube. Thank y'all for watching, listening, and supporting the program. Y'all know me, the Ohioan that's high again. I'm LazyBed. By now, you're all familiar with the drill. Do your due diligence and slap that like button as we get started. Subscribe, comment, all the fun jazz. More info on how to contact the show in the episode description. On today's program, we're going to get into all the details of last night's UFC Fight Night Taira versus Brandon Royval, as well as some of the ridiculousness that was BKFC Marbella, Spain. And without further delay, allow me to introduce to you my co-pilots on this flight of fancy. A man of many names and many titles, but the most important one is that of citizen of the county of Yorkshire. He's got style, he's got grace. He'll put a 12 gauge in your face. That's DangerMouse.
Hi, lazy. I like that one. Yeah, the Yorkshire bit's definitely right. And too much beer. You'll agree with me on that one as well.
Yeah, A up or whatever they say over there. And speaking of co-pilots, how about the trio that stayed lit and lifted like the suspension on their Honda Pilot? A dastardly dog, a too cool alley cat, and their doting dad. It's our production team, Chatri, Steven, and Super Dave. And the last one for me to mention today, but the first one in our hearts, a man who has single-handedly delivered death and destruction to countless vermin. Our pest controller and most colorful commentator, it's no special.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, happy to be here, and no pest killing today, thankfully.
Finally, a day off. Huh? All right, that's the gang, and those are the particulars. But I'm highly caffeinated and full of cannabinoids, so let's fucking get down to it, guys. Right off the rip, we're going main event time. Absolutely love this fight. If you knew, then you knew coming in exactly what this was going to be. A firestorm in the top 5 of the flyweight division. Number 1 contender and former title challenger, Raw Dog Brandon Royval, versus number 5 phenom from the land of the rising sun, Tatsuro Taira. Japan's Taira, who was 16-0 as a professional and 25-0 overall when combined with his amateur career coming in, had been riding an absolute rocket ship to a flyweight title shot as he squared up with Denver native Brandon Royval, who had last fought when he secured a February split decision win over Brandon Moreno. 25 fun back and forth minutes for two of the world's top 125ers. 125, a division in the news with recent announcements, and one that always provides high-level mixed martial arts competition. So, good to see these fellas at the top of the bill and getting the love they deserve amongst their peers, with an outpouring of respect online from fellow fighters. Lots of guys chiming in and singing their praises. Anyways, what did you guys think of this main event? DangerMouse, let's kick it over to you first. I know the smaller weight divisions aren't necessarily your thing, but give us your opinion on the entertainment value of the fight. And then for a question, does this first loss really hurt a young guy like Taira? Or could this be one of those cases where a loss is just what they need to fully evolve their game? What do you think?
Okay, that's a good question. The entertainment from this fight, fantastic. I saw it got given performance of the night, fight of the night, and it 100% deserves that without a shadow of a doubt. I don't need to do a fight breakdown. Everyone kind of saw it, but I'm kind of going to have to jump onto it because I don't think there's much disagreement about the first round. Royval won that round. Although, funnily enough, I think that's the one that Sal D'Amato did give to Taira. But I could be wrong there. I'd have to check the judges' cards for that.
I think he did. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, okay. And then round 2, we had at 4 minutes 26. So right at the start of the fight, 34 seconds into the fight, Taira took Royval down. And then for the rest of the round, it was complete domination. He was threatening subs. He landed a little bit of ground and pound, not the most amount, I'll agree. But he maintained that body triangle for most of the round. And in fact, it was Royval finally managed to stand up in the last 10 seconds. So out of 300 seconds of the round, Taira controlled that fight for that round for 255 seconds of them at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had round 3. It was back to Royval. It was pretty dominant. I don't think it was. He certainly had his moments, but I don't think it was anything more than a 10-9 round, because at the end, I think it was Taira came back and kind of fought his way back into that round. Then round 4, Royval got grappled again at around 4 minutes 30, taken down to the ground at 4 minutes 10, and then dominated for the duration of that round. Again, not much damage, but he just couldn't do anything. All he did was spend the round trying to get back up, changing position, and every time he did, Taira was all over him. And then we had round 5. Royval really came out in that one, gave some serious damage out. And, well, I'll jump back onto that in a little bit about that round. So first round, 10-9. Second round, for me, Taira won that round 10-8. You can fight me on that one. I don't think that... if you control the round for 4 minutes 30 that it exists, you won that round 10-8. There's no doubt about it. Third round, 10-9. Fourth round, again, 10-8. It's the one out of the 2 that you could maybe edge towards a 10-9, but personally, I think he did enough to get a 10-8 again. And then round 5, I would actually give a 10-8 to Royval. So that would actually bring my score out for that card at 46-46, which I think would have been an amazing result for it. Deserved. They're already calling it a modern classic. So if it had been a modern classic and it was a draw, no one would have lost any value. Both would have gained value. And that I think would have been fairer. If anybody won that fight, I would give it to Taira, just because of the complete domination of those rounds 2 and 4. And then, so what does he, onto your actual other question, what does that mean for Taira? I don't think it means much to his reputation at all. It's taken a little bit of shine off him because he's lost the 0 that everybody covets. But this isn't boxing. We can love a fighter if he's got a loss. We can love fighters who've got 10 losses.
Yeah.
We don't really judge fighters that much. So as long as he keeps putting on performances in the same manner as he did, because although he may have lost that fight, there was no quitting him at any moment. He had his moments, even when in the rounds he was kind of getting beaten up in. Needs to work on his striking some more. I don't think that's a surprise. I'm not sure how well known Royval was for his jiu-jitsu, but it was good enough to keep him alive in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't hurt Taira at all. Royval cements his place as #1 contender. I guess he gets the next shot because there's no one else now that I can see of without looking at the who's in the rankings. So yeah.
Do you think that this is a possible situation where this loss could actually be a positive for him, and it could really kind of propel him to now fully evolve and round out his game?
Yeah, for sure. As I've said, it's a super close fight. I think a lot of certainly people who watch the game with a level of seriousness, because let's face it was an Apex card, so you never know how much that many people watch it. But yeah, I think those who have watched it should consider it a good fight, and it's it gives him a reason to improve. It hasn't hurt his standing particularly much. It just hasn't. He's not quite there yet, and hopefully, it should inspire him to go on and want to be a better striker and sharpen up maybe some levels of his. I would say his jiu-jitsu game, but like I said, I don't know how good Royval was at his BJJ. So
yeah. Yeah, well, that's actually that's pretty interesting. That's the draw aspect is something that I hadn't really considered yet. But hearing your scoring there, that actually does make sense, though. I think that was similar to how Jed Meshew scored the fight, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and that's thinking of it, if that fight would have been then scored and declared a draw, and how high people are on it, because there was people calling, fight of the year potentially, that sort of a thing. Uh, it's interesting to consider how that dynamic might have changed had this been a draw, and how that would have changed things going forward. But nevertheless, all right, no special. You're a man who loves a good grappling affair. I know you liked this fight once you were able to watch it. So tell us your thoughts on the fight itself, and then tell me what would you do with a guy like Royval, who seems good enough to beat all the contenders, but not good enough to beat the champ.
hmm, hmm, hmm. I okay, so I'm not gonna disagree that you couldn't have scored the rounds the way Mouse did or that others have. I personally did not see it that way. And I do like grappling exchanges between fighters. In this case, the exchanges were dominant. When it was on the feet, like Royval was pretty much in control of the fight. That you could not dispute that, right? That third round for sure is a 10-8. I'm not. I mean, the amount of times Taira was getting hurt, especially after the knee landed in the second exchange that they had, where he was trying to look for a desperation takedown. There's no way you could
Mm,
dispute that as a 10-8. The ones you can dispute are the grappling exchanges. And in the fifth round, where it wasn't completely one sided, but one man was just in control, despite there being multiple points of just transitions and exchanges when they were on the feet. And Royval was in control of the stand up throughout the fight. That's not going to be disputed. The grappling was pretty much one sided in Taira's control. And God bless Royval for being able to survive multiple submission attempts with the rear naked chokes and the arm triangles. And Royval did a really good job of trying to handle himself on the ground, looking for leg locks so he could force Taira to get up, stand up in the exchange, takedowns with him once he actually got Taira to escape, and found a way to get back on his feet occasionally. But the question is, when there is no damage or impact, the actual fight itself needs to be scored on when damage and impact are not available, the control and duration are what scores it. You can absolutely score it a 10-8. I'm not going to dispute that. Would I have scored it a 10-8? I I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. And again, I did not watch this live. I had to rewatch it this morning because it was a pretty busy weekend for me. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. Um, the right guy won. Right guy won. Royval was the rightful winner in my opinion. But the swing round for me was the first round, and I think that's mainly because not a whole lot was done between the two fighters, and I can see it. It's basically 2 and 4 are for Taira, and 3 and 5 are 100% for Royval. It's that first round for me, and I think the right guy won the fight, and realistically, that would have made it a closer fight had that third round not been a 10-8 for me. But regardless, it doesn't hurt Taira. It does. I don't believe it hurts Taira at all. This fight, and then he just needs to work on his striking. It's normal for a young guy only being a dominant grappler to not have a whole lot of striking acumen to him. He's only been able to run over people. Why am I going to work on my striking? This is MMA, right?
yeah.
As far as Royval, you can't give him a title fight because he's already lost twice to the champion. And then we're in the same situation where it's Brandon Moreno losing 3 times to, Alexandre Pantoja. And you
Yeah.
can't have that. You can't. Because at that point,
Well,
what are we just going to keep doing? Throwing him against the guy until he wins? We just
yeah.
had that with Royval and Moreno. You know,
So
Moreno beat him twice, and the third time I think, or I'm sorry, was that the case? I can't remember that one specifically because I know they'd already fought beforehand, and This division's a mess.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we got some new blood in it, so there's no shortage of guys for Royval to fight. That's not an issue. It's just you cannot give him a title fight unless he has another 2 wins under his belt.
Yet again, a reason why a draw would have been great because we could have run that match backwards again.
No, you can't. You can't keep running rematches.
Just want to quickly say my last point on this one to Austin, to everyone listening. The rounds are judged on 3 categories: damage, duration, domination. And if 66% doesn't count for a 10-8 in a round, I don't know what does.
Bottom line there is I think that we would all like to see a little bit more liberal use of 10-8 scoring. 10-8 rounds should be a bit more commonplace and not so rare in this game. These judges have very few tools at their dispense, so I think that they should be able to give 10-8 rounds a bit more liberally. Last thing that I want to say on this fight, and this is really my big gripe from this whole thing, Brandon Royval doing the overly sportsmanlike thing and basically saying that he'd go to the ends of the earth to help Taira win a title. Bro, I get it. Like you want to seem like the helpful and accommodating veteran, you know. But if you're chasing the title too, how the fuck are you going to help him chase the same goddamn title? Makes zero sense. And if you really wanted to help the kid achieve his championship dreams, you could have just, I don't know, let him win. Maybe let him win if you really want him to be the champion. Can't fight someone for 5 rounds and say you want a title shot in one breath and then say you'll do whatever it takes to help your opponent get one too. That's nonsense. And then the final thing, this is per Barter on the Discord. I thought this was a good point, so I told him that I would mention this on the show. 5 flyweight main events this year already, soon to be 6. Is flyweight actually being promoted? Are they finally getting their just due? Flyweights, come on, you know. These guys are action-packed, exciting fighters, highly skilled. They deserve some shine.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say how many numbered events though, or are they just propping up the apex?
Yeah, that's true. Either way, I mean, just put some spotlight.
Not hating, by the way.
Spotlight on the flag. Never a bad thing.
Just being
Well,
cynical.
no. Yeah, they have a division. Promote it. Do your job. Your job is to put these fighters out there and give us a reason to watch them. That's your goddamn job. You're a promoter.
And like you guys mentioned it, and I mentioned in the opening of this, some injections of new talent into the division. So there's never been a better time than now to put some fucking shine on those little dudes. All right. Anyway, we're gonna move it along. That was the main event, and now on to the remainder of this Apex card. I'm going to do things a little bit different than usual, and I'm just going to give a super quick rundown of the rest of the fights and the results, and I'll pause briefly after each. So if you guys have something to say about a fight, feel free to interject. If you don't, that's fine too. We can just move along. Okay, so in the co-main event, Brad Tavares and the Iron Turtle Junyoung Park met in the middleweight division, with Junyoung Park securing the victory via decision. Tavares passed Bisping's career octagon time in this fight. Bisping did not seem too happy about that. And Park,
his middleweight time in the cage.
Is that what did I say?
You said he passed his time in the cage. He passed his record middleweight, but as Bisping said, I was kind of joking a little bit there. But Bisping said he also has 5 fights at light heavyweight. So
yeah. Okay, so that's true. Yeah. And then Park would also mention that his favorite Ninja Turtle was Michelangelo, so that was cool little nugget. Any thoughts on this fight, guys?
Yeah, kind of a fun fight, I guess. We had that eye poke in the first round that turned out to be a legal punch. Nice job by Herb Dean stopping the fight there very briefly, asking for a review, and then saying, "Oh no, it was a punch." Fight carries on and just getting straight back on with the action. And I know there's a bit of an argument there that the fight was paused long enough to let Park get back into the fight, but it is what it is. There's another much more egregious kind of stoppage in mistake earlier on in a different fight, which we might get to. But Park really showed himself off well. He got flattened by that or knocked down by that punch in the first round, and then he just once he had to, he started backing Tavares up against the cage all the time, really working him up there, not giving Tavares time to work, and then when Tavares did it eventually, I forget which round it was, he started to take the center of the cage. He was very timid kind of thing, not pushing forwards, and Park was just picking him apart with the jab. It was really, really nice job from him. So yeah, fun fight.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Austin, you got anything on
that? Typical Brad Tavares performance. Looks good early on. Even that knockdown where it was more of I think a shock to Turtle than it was a hurting 1-2. Again, typical Brad Tavares performance. He looks good early on and then runs out of steam at the end, and then he's getting beaten up. And this time he was the one getting out wrestled, which I did not see happening. So, good for the Iron Turtle. Sucks for Tavares.
Yeah, the Turtle was definitely wrestling. I think I said it on the Discord. He turned it into a turtle mating season in the third.
Seems excessive, sir.
All right. Moving along. Chidi and Jukwani faced Jared Gooden in a welterweight matchup. Jared Gooden did miss weight in this. Potentially his future in the UFC on the line. Chidi got the win by decision in a long grinder of a fight. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one is a typical Chidi and Jukwani ass whipping. Do not miss weight if you're his opponent, because he will just berate you with elbows and knees, like as if he was his first day of training Muay Thai, and it was devastating and a clinical performance. This is a Chidi and Jukwani that I like to see. I don't know if his switch to welterweight is for the best for him, but he looked pretty damn good here tonight.
Yeah.
What Austin said.
Only thing I'll say is shout out to the toughness of Jared Gooden's face, because I think we all remember what Chidi's knee did to RoboCop's forehead when he split his fucking skull wide open. So Gooden ate a good series of elbows and knees, and I don't think he had any cuts at the end. So, man, tough face there, tough face. All right. At lightweight, Grant Dawson pitted his 22-2-1 record, against Rafa Garcia's 16-3. Dawson would come out victorious by ground and pound with some violent elbows, rattling Garcia and getting the stoppage win. What are you guys' takes on this Grant Dawson stoppage victory?
Yeah, I'll jump in with this one if I can.
Yeah.
This was Grant Dawson took the first round 10-8. Tell me it's not true. As you said, really nice finish. I'm not sure if this wasn't one where this might have been one. Sorry, where I was shouting at the referee saying stop the fight," because he was getting absolutely murked by that point. So yeah, great performance from Dawson. Kind of cringy, closing speech when he was talking to was it Bisping?
Yeah.
Talking about his wife's ass and all the rest of it. Not that his wife's not attractive, don't get me wrong. But yeah, good fight. Grant Dawson well back onto the track of doing what he does best, which is taking people down and either smashing them apart, occasionally getting a sub, I guess. But yeah, nice job.
Austin?
Grant Dawson had a resurgence. Perfect. He tends to do this thing where he just rolls over people. Looks good. Can't wait to see what he looks like a couple fights from now when he's fighting the top 10 again. We'll see, though. We'll see. Look good. Don't get me wrong, but this is the type of performance you expect, not the one that surprises you.
Yeah. I was a little bit worried for him in this one. He did get knocked down with a jab by Bobby Green in that fight. So I was a little bit worried about his chin, but yeah, pulled through. Had looked pretty fucking good. Did Grant Dawson stuff. Like when he's on the money, that's how he looks. And if he looks like that going forward, he's in trouble for a lot of these guys in the division. And I want to give a quick shout out to Gaff from MK fame and also his own personal channel, One More Round Fights, in the main card minute. I was watching their watch long last night, and he doubled down on Grant Dawson to win by TKO in the second, and he turned a $100 bet into $1,000 profit. So shout out to Gaff on that.
God damn.
Yeah, he was losing it. He was on a roller coaster of emotions because the fight prior to this, he lost money or something like that, so he was pretty downtrodden, and then he fucking turned 100 into 1,000. So yeah, his frown turned upside down. All right, where was I? Okay, yeah. Prior to that, prior to this fight, Daniel D. Rod Rodriguez met fighter and Fury FC commentator Alex Morono at 170, and this fight would see D. Rod winning by splitty after looking like things may not go his way in the first round there. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on this fight.
Yeah. D-Rod did D-Rod things. He came in looking like a Vato from South Central. He's a stand-up guy. He can be sloppy at times, but he's not that technical guy. He looked good. He looked good. He took a minute to get going, but Morono's that kind of guy. Like if he stays consistent, it's kind of hard to buck him off of that trend where he's just kind of winning the fight by points, right? This isn't that case. This is where it was close enough to where D-Rod was just able to kind of put in a little bit more work, a little bit more damage, and managed to take the fight away. Unfortunately, Moreno just kind of allows that to happen with this fight style. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm slightly biased because I picked Morono. Sorry. So yeah, I had Morono up, but there's a bias there. So yeah, split decision. It is what it is. Kind of proves that D-Rod isn't as washed as people may have thought. I think BC actually called him out for being washed.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
surprising.
it really was just good matchmaking though, because they're both sort of at that same level of teetering on the washed, line, getting there, but maybe not quite. They have their moments, but I was mainly just impressed that neither one of them seemed to gas out too much in this fight.
No, yeah, they put their effort in for sure.
Yeah. All right, and then moving on to one of the more exciting and fun fights of the night in the flyweight division. CJ Vergara, the running man of the UFC, and Ramazan Tamirov faced off with Ramazan coming out on top after a vicious and just maniacal series of blows, culminating with a nasty rib roaster left hook to the breadbasket. First round knockout. Taking this directly from Discord, and I believe this was DM and our boy Dave talking. Wow, Tamirov is tiny. Yeah, but he has a hat. Yep, and he's shredded. So those are all facts.
That's true.
5'4" with a 63-inch reach. Like that's a tiny, tiny man, but he's jacked as a motherfucker. Herzog looked like an absolute unit in there with these two, but Tamirov hits like a heavyweight. So I called him the Uzbeki John Lineker last night. Fitting nickname. I really like this fight. I thought this guy is a fun addition to the flyweight division. So what do you guys think about this one?
Austin?
Oh, sorry. Tiny man with tiny power manages to land on a man who happens to run after he gets hit because fight or flight is a real thing. I mean, hey, he ran and then got hit more running while also like forgetting that if you run and your hands are down, you are still able to get a hit. Doesn't matter if he's smaller than you, But it was fun and ridiculous, and sometimes those fights are needed. Great. It was great for the entertainment value for sure.
Yeah, CJ Vergara winning the UFC's unofficial 40-yard dash for the year 2024.
That's so true.
Right up there with Chelsea Chandler in the Norma Dumont fight. Right up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. All right. Then this next one, boy, what a letdown this was for some, then probably a big fucking hurrah moment for others. Jonathan JSP Pierce and Pat Sabatini had a featherweight tussle that would see Sabatini get the W via submission in the very first round. Took the back, locked in the body triangle, never let it go. Easy RNC win for him, but big losses, I believe, for all of us here on the Discord and on the show. No.
Except Dazricchio. Shout out Dazricchio.
Oh, okay, yeah, Daz, that's right. But yeah.
Oh my god.
only thing I gotta say about this fight is JSP, man. What a case study in falling off. Because if you think back, just a couple of years ago, the guy was in title talks. He was thought to be a real challenger in this division, and he looks like anything but now. So, what do you guys think of this JSP and Pat Sabatini fight?
Uh, disappointing would be an understatement. Not because I believe I picked him. Yeah, you're right. You said I picked him. I just felt like he was the more well-rounded grappler, and then he just allowed the pace to be dictated immediately with that counter takedown that Pat landed on him. And sure enough, he was just like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't have to worry." Oh no, that's pretty much what it was. It was like, "I'm good. I don't have to worry." Oh shit. What are we doing here, my dude? You got to be aggressive and dominant, or you're going to be lackadaisical and get caught. That's what happened in his last fight. He knows that. He last happened in the fight before that. He knows that. Like, mental lapses are a real thing in this game, and he seems to be a guy who's kind of stuck in a reoccurring theme here.
Yeah.
Not a fight that made a huge amount of impression on me until Dave said, "Oh, that's that guy who shouted, get up and do something." And I was like, "Oh shit, have I picked that guy?" So, yeah, that's...
Well, get up and do something, boy. Come on, get up and do something.
Got some good trash
Get up
talk.
and do something.
So, yeah,
Said,
Kind
"Do
of what
something, boy."
yeah.
It gets immediately choked out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So yeah,
I guess that's what you get for fucking trying to copy somebody else's nickname. You are not anything close to a GSP. You have to get that fucking shit out of here.
damn straight.
No.
Okay. Before that, another a veteran of the game, veteran Nico Price took on Temba Garimbo in another welterweight bout. In this one, Temba would win by pretty lopsided unanimous decision. Not a good showing for Nico Price. Went out there and just got the leather laid on him for a solid 3 rounds. Pretty decisive victory for Garimbo, but I'm not sure what it really means for him. You guys got any thoughts on this one?
No, not really. Dominant, but not kind of unsurprising. I think we all knew that Garimbo was going to take this one.
Yeah.
Price obviously still posed a threat. I think there were moments when they were kind of down on the ground. He was grabbing for things, but yeah, pretty easy job. Nicely done. 30-27, all 3 judges' cards.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say?
Yeah, no, agreed. I only saw highlights of this one. Not a whole lot of opinion, except for the theory of what the Contender Series should actually be, in which case Nico Price gets to go into that per what we've all talked about prior. In which case Nico Price gets to go into that per what we've all talked about prior.
The Sunset League.
Trademarked by Lazy.
Yeah, because it might be time for Nico.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the guy's got a huge family. I believe I've heard John Anik say it in like the fighter walkouts before. He's got like 9 kids or something ridiculous like that. So I think we all know why he's still fighting. But
I was gonna say,
man, like performances aren't really there anymore. Might be time to call it a day. When with the UFC making these big time roster purges because of the influx of new guys from the Contender, he very well could be on his way out. So we'll see. There's always that option, baby.
Karate combat time?
Yeah, he might be more suited to BKFC.
I mean,
He's not really a
BKFC
kicker.
might pay him more.
All right. And another one of the sloppier, funner fights of the night. Let's move it along to this short notice bout between Australia's Junior Tafa, who fought, and his opponent, UFC newcomer Sean Sharaf. These guys went at it in a scrap that would end with Tafa victorious due to a TKO stoppage in the second, when he was the slightly less gassed fat prick of the two. Sharaf, a former Marine, didn't know that till last night, who has deadlifted 700 pounds. Impressive shit. made a good showing of himself in a
Ouch.
fight on a week's notice. So he has that going for him. But what in the world is the current state of the heavyweight division in the UFC? These are the biggest, baddest, most skilled men on the planet. That's what you're telling me? Like, come on.
Well,
Yeah,
to be fair,
he did
Taffer
say
isn't
he wants
even
to
a
move down.
heavyweight, is he? He's a light heavyweight. This was the one I was hinting at earlier on. Sharaf was
Oh,
robbed of this
yeah.
fight by the fence grab in the first round, because if Taffer had hit the ground at that moment, we all saw what Sharaf did towards the end of the round, and you're not telling me Taffer would have survived a barrage like that for as long as was left in the round at the moment that he should have been taken down. That's one of those where I think the referee really should have come in and gone, no, get on the floor, motherfucker.
Yeah, I
Get
think
on
at
top
very
of him.
least
Right,
that's an
go.
automatic point deduction situation. That's not a warning. But,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, at the very least, it should have been an automatic point.
Well,
Didn't matter.
even if it wasn't, they should have at least awarded him the position. He had it. He had the takedown,
Yeah.
and he grabbed the fence
That's what I said after.
deliberately.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. They should have given him the
Yeah, and
position.
I'm reiterating because that
Well,
makes me
in
mad.
that situation, I'll go the Big John McCarthy route. He always says that the referees won't award you a takedown off of a fence grab because I don't know how he says it, like they can't basically put their thumbprint on the fight and give you a position, but you gotta deduct. You got to
Fucking
deduct
job.
a point there at very least. Like that's
That's their
instant.
job.
Like when a guy, that wasn't just a fence grab. That was a fence grab where like you literally see the fence buckling inward. He was, yeah, yeah, he was tugging on that motherfucker. That was
Yeah,
the only thing keeping him
it
up.
was a
So
takedown.
yeah, I agree. You got to at least take a point in that situation. But nevertheless, oh, and I did make a note on this fight. DangerMouse, weren't you let down by Eric Nixick on this one?
Yeah, but Grimbo brought it back for me.
Redemption. Okay, all right. We're gonna move on to the next one. The only women's
Yes.
bout on the card. We would see two ladies in the strawweight division: Corey Poppins McKenna, who took on Julia Palastri. This one would end with Palastri winning by decision. Big surprise. Poppins, man, she needs strength and conditioning training. Good lord, she's just out muscled in every fight she's in. She's skilled and she has the heart, but she's out muscled in every fight. Perpetually lets me down. That's my takeaway. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, this was quite a fun little fight. I know it only ended in a decision win, split decision. God, I can't space. Well, having my Fields of Destruction moment again. And if you don't get that joke, go back and watch last week's Uncensored. Yeah, Plastry fought a nice fight. I thought brought the kickboxing to show, which was kind of what I was expecting. Did a nice job. Ron McCarthy got this one right for once. 30-27. She won all 3 rounds. I don't think there should be any doubt, really. I don't know why it was a split decision. Nice job. Really, really good job.
Yeah.
Fun for a ladies' fight. And I think Guru got this one wrong. I'll have to double check on that. He's terrible. Yeah. If you
He
want a
seems to be
women's
getting
fight,
a lot of those lately.
if you want a women's fight, pick a come to the mouse.
I just Poppins, man. Corey McKenna, she was supposed to be good. Like she had a lot of hype behind her coming in. She had a lot of talent, and it just hasn't translated at all. Like I don't know, man. She needs to get in the gym and pack on some fucking muscle. That's my take. I don't know. Anyways, you got nothing on that one, Austin?
No, I unfortunately only saw highlights, but pretty much what you had said. Just capable, just coming up short on every exchange, and unfortunately, that's the thing that decides the good fighters from the better fighters, or the elite fighters. Athleticism and power and strength mean stuff when you're at the lower levels. That I mean, it doesn't take much.
Were they 115 or 125?
115.
No, okay. I'll keep my mouth shut.
No Dakota Decheva fucking fodder here.
I never said a word.
Let's move along. The next fight, it really was a inconsequential bout, but Dan Argueta took on Cody Haddon in the bantamweight division. Haddon took the victory via majority decision in this one. Fun scrap, but mostly all Haddon. Nice hands, quick combos. Lacks a little bit of pop on his punches, though. For me, could hit a little bit harder for my liking, but that was my only takeaway from that one.
I think that was Dave's takeaway as well.
Crisp combos, like I said, quick hands, but
yeah, he looked good. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Again, judges' cards say all 30-27, all three judges.
Dan Argueta, though, I mean,
Yep.
Dan Argueta's kind of a bum in my eyes. The guy lost to Ricky Tercios at one point.
But he missed weight as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. Yep. Okay, and then lastly for this card, the first fight of the night, previously 7-0, now 8-0, Clayton Carpenter against Brazil's Lucas Rocha, or Hosha maybe. Carpenter returned after a 20-month injury layoff after his UFC debut. Carpenter busted up Rocha in the first, got an easy takedown in the second, and that would ultimately lead to the end as he was wrapped up pretty quickly in an RNC, and Carpenter was able to secure that 8th career win. I don't know if you guys caught this one or if you had any thoughts on this opening.
I certainly did. This was the one where I foolishly decided to go against the entire MK Discord and pick Roka. Led astray by fucking Guru on this one. To be fair, the kid did land a really, really nice knee. I think it was in the can't remember if it was first or second. He might have landed one in both. And if Carpenter didn't have quite the chin that he has, or if that blow had landed slightly flusher, we could have had Roka by win. But yeah, start of the night off bad for me. All one. My title is gone this week.
No, that was a good scrap, especially for flyweights that are coming in. The Brazilian put up a fight, Rocha, but the newcomer, I'm sorry, what was his name?
Clayton.
The winner.
Clayton Carpenter.
Okay.
I was surprised at the
Carpenter,
size difference between them, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, he looked like a guy who probably walks closer to what a natural bantamweight is and cuts because he's a smaller, bantamweight essentially, and makes the flyweight cut, which is probably harder on him in the long run. And Rocha looks like a natural flyweight. So, yeah, that makes sense. But this is what happens when you face better guys. This isn't the regionals anymore.
Yeah.
You're in the UFC, and regardless of who you're facing, you got to know which weight class is yours. And good for Carpenter. He looked great. A little, you could tell he's still working on his stuff, but he looked good. Looked good against a tough opponent.
Especially coming off, like I said, coming off of a 20-month layoff. Like, that's not an easy feat to do. So, yeah, shout out Clayton Carpenter. And like you said, DangerMouse, the size difference, it was pretty apparent. But according to the paper, it's not that much. I think they said that Rocha was 5'4" and Carpenter 5'6", but they looked sizably different in the cage. Either way. All right. Just to close out on that, guys, the performance bonuses. I think you mentioned it earlier. One of them, DM. Performance bonuses of the night would go to Clayton Carpenter and Ramazan Tamirov for their respective finishes. And then the fight of the night would be awarded to Royval and Taira for the main event. So all those guys, $50,000.
Woo!
Okay, so
all deserved.
What's that?
Said all deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gentlemen, those were the fights, and that was the card. All things considered, what do you give this UFC Fight Night at the Apex? Austin, go ahead and go first.
Okay, well, you put me on the spot. I did not watch all of it live, sir. So take my grade with a grain of salt. But from what I saw on the app with all the fights cut, I did not watch all the broadcast. I saw some of the banter stuff. I would say for me, this was like a 6.5. Above average. Main fight, main card. Kind of put everything into perspective for me as far as scoring it. So I would say 6.5 for me. Everything was good. can't complain too much. Fights are decent, so that's always nice. And there were finishes.
6.5 it is. That's not bad. All right, DM,
Yeah.
hit us with your rating. I'm hungry for some waffles here.
It's going to be short and sweet, I'm afraid. Not much
Oh,
cake from me this week. I can't say much more than Austin, actually. He summed it up very nicely. He's given pretty much the score that I was umming and ahhing whether I was going to give. I'm hovering between 6 and 7. I'm going to break the mold and not go 6.75. I'm going to agree with Austin, 6.5.
damn.
One of us. One of us. One of us.
All right. Well, yeah, pretty easy one for me to score too. The main card was a bit monotonous outside the main event and the Dawson finish. The prelims were more fun for me. They had some really fun moments. Not the best night, but also not the worst. Slightly above average. And I can fucking screenshot this shit and share it in the Discord. This is crazy. But I have this written down. I also said I'm going to go with a 6.5 on this card.
Woohoo. Might be the first time.
Google
I've-
gobble.
Yeah, that might be a first. Okay, all right. Our final topics for the day. We are going to wrap this up like a plate covered in tinfoil. It's time for another edition of Lazy's Leftovers. We don't have a theme song, but if we did, this is where it would be. All right. First, Saturday afternoon's BKFC show from Marbella, featuring the bare knuckle debuts of media members Hot T Oscar Willis and Ben the Bane Davis. A blowout card and a bit of a tentpole event. David Feldman and company rolled out the red carpet for their first trip to Spain. Everyone's favorite Conor McGregor was even in attendance and in the ring after every fucking fight. 3 titles were contested, as well as bragging rights for the toughest man to make a living behind a computer screen. Hell, we had terrible concerts, washed up musical artists, we had the works. All things considered, this was a pretty fun show, so let's get stuck into it some. In the first of the 3 title fights, we saw champion David Mundell put his middleweight strap up for grabs as he took on the UK's Danny the Bastard Christie. This one would end with Mundell getting the TKO finish in round 2 to retain his title. He then called out Mike Perry, and I saw that Conor McGregor was in the comments on the BKFC post talking about how he fired Mike Perry. So
Jesus.
that cracked me up. Second
He's next.
championship bout. What's that?
I said he's next.
Yeah, it might be. Second championship bout of the night would have current welterweight king Austin No Doubt Trout taking on challenger Rico Franco. Trout, a former professional boxing prodigy, is one of the bigger and more recognizable names inside of the BKFC, and rightfully so. This one would end in a bloody unanimous decision. Pulling DangerMouse, unanimous decision win for Trout. I didn't really catch most of this bout, but I did see the clips, and that Rico Franco dude was bloodied the fuck up. So it looked like he was eating some shots.
If I can just jump in on that one, the Barnahill brothers know that guy. I think they have an interview with him from a while back. So if anyone wants to go looking for that,
Ooh, with Trout?
yeah, with Trout, yeah, I think it was one of their first interviews. So, like I said, it's not a recent one, but it's
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's Nick Barnell chatting with him. I could be wrong. It could be both of them. I can't remember.
Somebody like a K Stacks or a Dana Black, as he's now known, would probably know better than me. But I believe Austin Trout was a pretty big deal in boxing at one time.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's a big star to have on the roster, and he's been very successful for them. So it's nice to see. And then in the final title bout of the afternoon / evening, undefeated Argentinian, DangerMouse is gonna have a field day with that one. Undefeated Argentinian bare knuckler Franco Tenaglia tangled with fellow undefeated BKFC fighter Tony Loco Soto for the vacant lightweight championship. And this one would end with Tenaglia coming out on top, securing the victory and the unclaimed strap in a knockdown, drag 'em out war that some would say was the best fight in BKFC history.
Quick question. Lazy, are you being paid by BKFC?
I fucking wish. I wish. They could pay me in bucked up energy if they want.
I was just curious. That's all. Not saying anything. I'm just saying, a lot of love for BKFC here.
Slow news week. Yeah, slow news week. It's what it is. I'm grasping at straws here, guys. We needed content. What am I supposed to do? Well, yeah. So I guess if you guys, we got some BKFC fans, I'm sure. So if you want to go back, check those out. Those are 3 title fights on this card. So, but the most important of the bunch, and this is really was my primary focus of the event and of the weekend, the long-awaited matchup between the MMA media members Ben Davis and Oscar Willis. 3 2-minute rounds of hideously sloppy windmilling or a barroom brawl. How would this one play out, and what would be the results? It turned out the latter was in the cards because Willis quickly made this a good old pub fight. Technique virtually out the window, but the madness was effective. Oscar would drop Bane 4 times within the first 2 minutes, each successive knockdown leading to a more perplexed look on the face of Davis. All credit to him for staying in there, but ultimately you could see the bewilderment in his eyes, and the ref would call it at about the 157 mark of round 1, as I said previously. Surely there were copious amounts of steroids, cocaine, and alcohol flowing through the bloodstream of one Oscar Willis and throughout the arena. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but it was a fun fight.
I did not know.
Same.
I honestly have no idea who Ben Davis is. I know Oscar is. He's the guy who likes a pint with Dan Hooker. But yeah.
Yeah, Dan Hooker was there. He was in attendance.
Yeah, so I've heard.
He actually flew like halfway around the world to corner his good buddy Oscar.
Oh wow, good on Dan then.
God damn.
Yeah. And then for those that may not know, Ben Davis, just basically a guy like us who started out doing something like this and managed to find some traction in the MMA space, and now he's calling fights, doing interviews with Luke Thomas and all kinds of other shit. So, a bit of a polarizing figure, though. A lot of people don't like him, and then a lot of people do. So, I, for one, I got nothing against him, but I was happy to see Oscar pound his face, and I liked it.
Wasn't Oscar also responsible for Chairgate or Dollygate?
Possibly. I know he does work for the Mac Life. That's his job, so he's pretty closely affiliated with Connor.
Okay,
So it
interesting.
wouldn't surprise me. I can't say for sure though. I won't condemn the guy, but either way, that does lead us directly into the next little bit of news, though. Some other McGregor-related news, and this also ties in Dan Hooker, who we just mentioned. City Kickboxing's Dan Hooker was in attendance to corner his mate Oscar, and after the show had ended, he and Connor would be filmed chopping it up in the BKFC ring. Since that moment, news stories have emerged from multiple outlets, including Bloody Elbow, who was first on the scene to report this, claiming McGregor was quoted as saying his next opponent is indeed the man he was in the ring with last night, none other than Dan Hooker. Connor would say it's him versus Hooker February 1st in Saudi Arabia. Now, whether that's him versus Dan Hooker or just him versus a random hooker remains to be seen. But, guys, is McGregor versus Hooker actually a thing now?
I had more or less the same line written down on my notes. Connor's had the coke and now he's onto the hooker. Yeah, to quote Axl Rose from Use Your Illusion 2, get in the ring, Connor. Just get in the fucking ring. When I'm next to you talking and you have gloves on, shorts on, and you're in the octagon, I'm fucking interested. Until then, shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna smash this guy in the brainstem.
Yes, same. Are you? Yeah, I don't know if it brings up to here the point. What is that? That 4-man tourney. You could put an 8-man tourney. Keep Dan. Make you know. You can add Masvidal. You can add Nate Diaz, and you can add Connor to that mix. One more would possibly be Charles Oliveira. Make it all at 165. Why not? Who gives a fuck at this point?
Yeah.
Make it entertaining, right?
That is interesting. I do remember you mentioning this, Austin. Maybe that's a segment for a coming week. Maybe we put together a fantasy 4-man tourney, each of us, for the BMF title. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Something to think about. All right, and then let's move it along. Finally, the last leftover of the day, and it's another juicy bit from the mixed martial arts rumor mill. 44-year-old former light heavyweight champion and current coach of the year contender Glover Teixeira said in an interview with MMA Fighting that he is ready to come out of retirement and willing to compete in a variety of combat disciplines. Teixeira even left the door open on a possible return to the UFC, saying he would entertain a comeback fight in the organization. This return to fighting is not just a personal desire, however, as it was revealed that the impetus for this unretiring was actually Teixeira's student and current champ, Alex Pereira. Now, Poetan apparently has been riding Teixeira behind the scenes to come back for at least one more, saying his coach is in peak form and still a dangerous man. Now, coincidentally, fellas, a potential opponent just emerged last week when kickboxer turned mixed martial artist Artem Vakitov got a win and a contract on Dana White's Contender Series. Vakitov, a former two-time opponent of Pereira in the kickboxing world, was signed at the behest of Poetan, according to none other than Dana White. Now, with White saying Alex was adamant Artem deserved a contract, might we be building to another perfect storyline where Pereira has to avenge his sensei by defeating a man who defeats him? I'm not super keen on Teixeira returning at 44, but if he does, that's a hell of a backstory to it. So what do you guys think about Glover maybe coming back, and then any thoughts on this whole Teixeira, Makitov, Pereira possible angle?
What are we doing here? do I need to say any more? Yeah, I mean, I get it. Glover's a hero. He's a legend. One of the oldest belt holders, if not the. I think he's second oldest, isn't he, behind Couture? Yeah, legend. But stay retired, legend.
Agreed. Agreed. What are you doing, my dude? Like, even if he was to come back and let's say he gets a win, like, what would be the point of just coming back? Like, if you were going to retire, it should have been with the loss to Jiri Prochazka, and that's like he got one more in after that and got demolished by Jamal Hill, and that was just sad to see. So, like, no, I'm sorry, no, like. I love Glover, and you said it wasn't specifically him coming back to MMA. It was him wanting to go and compete in other disciplines, right? That means maybe karate compact, the jiu-jitsu, possibly boxing. And I would rather him just not compete. If he's not making enough money coaching a champion, that says something about the sport. But I don't know. Yeah.
I think that the report from MMA Fighting was a bit skewed. I think they kind of not really misquoted him, but they sensationalized a little bit, because I think, much like you just said, Austin, he was more so speaking about probably some jiu-jitsu tournaments or something like that. But I think they kind of like hinted around maybe UFC, and he just left the door open. But it made for a fun talking point. I don't want to see him come back either, dude. You're 44 years old.
Agreed.
44. Jesus fucking Christ, man. What are you doing?
We don't need no Dan Severns out here fighting until they're 50.
It just shows you how fucking weak the light heavyweight division is, though. Like, if he could even, entertain the idea of coming back at 44, like, goodness, man, goodness.
I was going to say something about that. That was going to probably piss a lot of people off. Coming back to the light heavyweight division with that man who got the contract. Oh, we're gonna build another guy so that my coach can get beat up by him, and then I have to face him. Then I'm gonna have a trilogy with him because I don't want to fight any real wrestlers. Of course, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and keep doing stand-up fights because this is MMA. This is kickboxing now. Of course, that is. That's the whole reason why we're here. Yes. God.
All right, I think this is about as good of a time to wrap things up as any. Just it's a good time to be a combat sports fan, guys. It just really is. It's a good time. Always something going on. Speaking of always something going on, we got some shit going on for you next week when we come back at your asses with yet another Apex event recap. Thank God DangerMouse is hosting it. That's right. UFC Vegas 99, Hernandez versus Pereira. Not that one, the other one. Next weekend. Only more to go. Only one more to go. Sorry, until the Centennial event. That's right. UFC Apex 100 is right around the corner. Everybody's ready to celebrate. It's bigger than the Sphere. Oh, and not to mention also next weekend the return of Francis Ngannou and the PFL Super Fight division. So make sure you tune in right back here to Just Bleed Radio. We hope that you all enjoyed the show. We appreciate each and every one of you bleeders. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, hit the like, drop us a line. There's more info in the description. Until next time, I'm LazyBed, and this has been the Weekend Roundup. Say goodbye, fellas.
Later.
Goodbye, everybody.
God damn it.
See you, motherfucker.
Wow.
Oh my god.
420, light them up.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Whatever, I do what I want.